Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I will talk a little bit about the money that we do have that we would like to give to churches, because we are known as a grant funder, but we do lots of other things besides. But I wanted to try and give you a bit of a taster of how fundraising is quite a challenge and maybe possibly a bit frightening. And if one is fundraising for any project, it's not just grants from organisations such as ours. You have to have a mix of funding. Before I say anything else, I was wondering if anybody in this room today has ever given anybody a present. Might be money, but might not be, just any present. Put your hand up, please. Nearly everybody. Keep them up. Right, now, okay, now keep your hands up if you did not receive a thank you for that present from whoever you gave it to. Oh, well, there's quite a few. Okay, and now keep your hand up still if that's put you off giving that person a present again. Not so many of you. So, I mean, it's a fundamental thing that people really forget about fundraising. First of all, why do people give? And it's quite simple, because they've been asked. So sometimes we forget, actually, you do have to ask people for money, or let it be known that you need money for something. It might be obvious to you that your church or your project or your initiative does need funding. It may not be obvious to anybody else, so you do need to ask. And very, very importantly, you must thank whoever has given you a contribution. Whether that's a small contribution, whether it's millions of pounds, people need to be thanked, and they need to know that their money has been spent well, and then it's gone to something worthwhile, which is obvious, really, but people quite often forget it. And so I wanted to remind you of that. The other thing to say is I'm sure everybody will get copies of all of these slides at the end of today, because I do realise you at the back, I'm sure you can't see, but we will be able to circulate all the information. If you are embarking on a fundraising project, there are lots of nuts and bolts that you need to get in place. I won't go into all of them now, but just to say there are things that one needs to get in place, like, I don't like to say the word boring, but the things that are necessities, like making sure you've got all the GDPR regulations, you've thought of those, risk assessments and those kind of things. Make sure you know how to claim gift aid. So sort of like the housekeeping, if you like, of fundraising. And we can help you with how to do those things. Have many colleagues here who can help you with that. And we also run training throughout the year on all different aspects of working on a church project, fundraising being one. So if you are stuck with those kinds of things, we can always help you. Sometimes they're quite complicated, or can seem quite complicated. Another thing that it's very important to have, I mean, I've just said you do need to ask if you need some money, but you need a very good case for support. And you need to be sure that you can explain why your project needs money and what it's doing and what use it is and how it's going to pan out and so on. I mean, most people, I think, I often think there's a terrible catastrophe going on in the world, a war or whatever there is, a tsunami, dreadful situation in Gaza and Lebanon and all of those places. People know about that. And even if they don't want to give money, they will know that that's a cause that people are looking for funds for. Most people know of a cancer charity, for example. They know it's a cause that people raise money for. They don't always realise that a church and the project that the church is trying to do needs money. And that's another reason why you do need to ask. They don't think that they think the churches are funded by the government, perhaps, funded by the different denominations. They're taken for granted. Yesterday, I was speaking to Peter over dinner as looking out of his window. Was it in Aberdeen? where was and saw the line of all the different churches that you can see on the skyline and so on. You go on a train, anywhere you see the churches out of the window. We take them for granted, don't we? But the landscape would look very odd if they weren't there. So again, making sure that people know that the church does need funding, that your project can't happen without funding. Sometimes that's the first hurdle in actually getting on with some fundraising. Case for support could be just talking to someone. It might be something that you need to set out on paper. And certainly when you apply to organisations, and I have to include my own in that, you do have to set things out well and be quite articulate, because people have to be sure that they're funding something worthwhile. So it's necessary to do. There's a fundraising cycle. You need to research who might be able to fund anything, and then how do you put your case forward to them, and then you must keep them involved and thank them and keep people informed of how you've used the money, really, which again is something which you can track right back to the very simple giving someone a present and receiving a thank you and knowing that they've appreciated it, and then you're more inclined to give them another present another time. We can also help you when we do training in how to do community fundraising, how to do corporate fundraising. I think that's more difficult, but there are some companies who do like to fund projects, and particularly they might give things in kind. Sometimes companies can give you things in kind. I'm a devil for asking people for something for free. For example, if we put a concert on, I might try and get at Christmas, I might get the mince pies given to me for free, that kind of thing. It all helps. Events are another way of raising money. They do take quite a lot of organising, but people really appreciate them, and it's a chance for people to get to know you and your project and other people who are like-minded. And also there are always trusts and foundations, not just a larger trust like mine or the lottery or other places like that, but there will be smaller family trusts sometimes, and local to you, trusts and foundations who would like to give you money, but again, it needs a bit of research to find out where they are and how to apply to them. In terms of our own grants, we have, and again, my colleagues are just behind here, we have many pieces of information that you can take away, and many of my colleagues here to help to speak to you about the grants that we at the National Churches Trust can provide. We do have some grants which are specific to our Cherish programme as well, and we have basically small, medium and large grants. So depending on what the need is for your project and what kind of thing you're trying to do, we should have a grants programme that's right for your church. I could speak about fundraising all day, but don't worry, I'm not going to do that because there isn't time. But we do have throughout the year training that we provide, and since COVID, a benefit from that has been everyone's been able to work out how to do that online, which saves the travel. And we do have a training programme that's being planned for 2025, and do have a look, because there will be something for everyone and something useful, I hope, for everybody that they could attend just for an hour on Zoom, for example, and then pick up some more hints and tips. But of course, we are here again, like everybody, to speak in the breaks and so on, to answer more questions. Thank you.